Ryan, we come to week 52, the last of these, and excited for guys who've made this journey. But as we come to the end, what are the key lasting pastoral words of encouragement you would give to pastors who are launching into ministry?
Man, I would start by just saying that the goal is faithfulness. Out of all the pastors I work with on a regular basis, so many of them are discouraged because they have wrongful expectations and what to expect of themselves, usually self-imposed. They feel it from other people. So faithfulness is the goal. Whatever success is, don't worry about success. Faithfulness is about doing what God's called you to do where you are. And who you are and where you're ministering affects what that looks like. And we compare ourselves to other pastors so often. So that would be the big thing I would first say. Be faithful over a long, long period of time. And if young pastors especially could grasp that, it'll change not just their outlook of their ministry, but the joy of the everyday work that they do. Uh, Second thing I'll say is, do not let anybody evaluate your ministry on numbers or money. And that is what is commonly evaluated, both on ourselves as well as we look around at other pastors. So never let anybody judge your ministry, or don't judge yourself on numbers and money. Look for the spiritual fruit and the evidences of grace that are at work in your ministry. Focus there and truly Ignore all the people saying, well, you don't have enough people. You don't have enough money and resources to do what you need to do. So you really can't make an impact in this community. Just ignore it all, because God has you there in that place. He's given you, provided those resources. He's given you that group of people. Pastors so often spend too much time thinking about the people who they wished were there, instead of pouring themselves into the people who are there. The last thing I'll probably say is, you always have another ministry. You only get one wife. So cling to Christ and care for your wife in such a way, and not just use that as a, this verbal thing saying we have. Function in your ministry like you truly can have another ministry or a different kind of ministry. You only get one wife. No ministry, I don't care how important you think it is ever worth sacrificing your marriage and your family for. So part of being faithful in that is to make sure your wife really is the priority. We don't just, I don't know a pastor. If I did, I'd probably slap them, who say, actually my wife's second, because God and ministry is first. Like, I don't know, do you know anybody who would say that? We all give that verbal acknowledgement, but fewer of us actually really do it. Truly live your life and your family life in that way. Last thing is, I would say is, Jesus has to be enough. And that's something we also just kind of can't flippantly say, this is true, this is where I am. No, like if God wipes it all away. That was one of the most important things that happened to me, is there was a threat of my marriage and ministry just imploding. And I had to be forced to ask myself, am I okay if all I have is Jesus? And my ministry and my life changed radically when I could answer that question, yes. Because he didn't take all that away. And I not only appreciate it more, but it really does come down to walking with Jesus every day. He's got to be enough. He's got to bring the joy, because marriage gets hard and family gets hard and ministry is certainly hard. But he is that steadfast hope that we can stand on. And if I could stress anything to pastors, it would be to hang on to him. And as long as you have him, everything else can implode in your life, and it actually is still okay.
Isn't that a subtle temptation for us, though? We meet our people, the congregation, members of the congregation, in times of their crisis, and we say, I know this has fallen apart, or this, your spouse has died, or something's happened, and Christ is enough. Cling to Him. But then so often we live in a way that's totally opposite of that, clinging to everything else in the world, ministry, and not clinging to Christ.
The first sign when a pastor is either discontent or frustrated or whatever it may be, and of course those are there all the time, but I'm talking about like kind of living in that existence. The first thing they need to look at is, am I really finding my joy, my satisfaction in Christ? Clearly this ministry, this church, my marriage, my family isn't doing it. And so we really have to have those self-reflecting moments to say, Jesus, are you really enough? And that's the best way to serve our family and serve our church, is when we are in that really centered place.
Yeah. Sounds easy though, right at the beginning.
Right.
You're surrounded maybe theological education by other pastors and things like that, but it gets really difficult in the trenches, doesn't it?
It's really hard, and it's the one thing the enemy doesn't want to happen in our lives as pastors.
Yeah.
So that's why we need to pursue it all the more. And I really do think this is the key to not just an impactful ministry, but one that has a lot of joy in it.
Yeah, all these little practical things we've been hitting on, but really want to strike this chord at the very end that really is personal intimacy with Christ that'll sustain you over the years.
It has to be first.